We are live. Welcome to the Tack and Pulse podcast, your place for sci-fi news, rumour and debate. And oh dear. Well, yeah, Starfleet Academy's dropped. I had to watch it. It was difficult. It was really difficult. Protopod, you're probably not wrong. That's the big question I'm going to actually ask in this video as we move on. My final real big question in the video is going to be, is this the final nail in the coffin of Alex Kurtzman? And I have an opinion on it. But before we get there, I want to know what you guys really think of this show. Hello, Littlefinger. How are you? I'll go through a couple of things that I really disliked, right? And it's little things a lot of the time. And here's an example, right, of one of the things that really frustrated me about this. There's a battle sequence. Baraka attacks the Athena. I'm just glad they didn't call it the Enterprise for once. Isn't that nice? They attack the Athena, use this mattery stuff that drains all the energy from the shields and everything and just cripples the ship. Don't really know why. And then they have the big fight, and I can smell a light, but all that happens. And actually, most of it is quite good. I actually quite like the battle sequences. I quite like the weapons of the Athena. We'll talk about the Athena in a bit. Dear Lord. And then the ship's all better because all of the people that happen to be in a group at the same time happen to have the unique abilities to save the day. But to be fair, you know, that's just happens with these things. This is interesting. Is this the last Kurtzman track? Because last we're unburdened by what we've seen. It might well be. Maccabee, I was both, and I like them immensely. Not. We're already getting some opinions here. I hated the design of this ship. Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. But yeah, simple. So the point I'm going to make here, though, is Baraka, or Barak, whatever his name is, I'm already getting to the point where I don't care about these people. Baraka gets on an escape pod and goes, what is that going? Bye, see you later, bye. So he disappears off to the background. The Athena's fixed. Shields are up, weapons go in. Why don't they just go, oh no, the villain, he's escaped. Oh no, wait a second. He's over there in that escape pod, just over there. Let's go get him. Now, I'm fine with that. But it's stupid. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that shouldn't have. It's a simple thing not to do. That they should have escaped another way. I've just been watching Nerdotic's live stream of Spock doll on his chair, riveting. It's just, you know, it's just a little bit annoying. And this is also a good example. They had a Sharon in bloody Section 31 as well, and we all kicked off and explained how they were extinct. The whole point of that episode in the original series is that these guys are now extinct, and there's two men that were left running around after each other. But it takes away an awful lot from that episode, which is one of the greatest episodes of the original series ever made. That they did that, and not only did they did that, they did it again. They did it again. Were there any characters you liked? Just curious. I initially liked Lurathok, the Jem'Hadar Klingon. I thought her introduction into the episode was actually quite good, and my initial thoughts, I'm going to quite like her. There was a couple of bits in it, even after she got stabbed. I thought, this character I'm going to quite like. I changed my mind quite quickly though, because the actress cannot act. She's the least intimidating actress I've ever seen. She's supposed to be Jem'Hadar. She's there going to say, I'm going to rip your stomach and you know, right. Jack Nicholson in the end of A Few Good Men is intimidating. When he says, I'm going to rip out your eyes and piss in your dead skull, you're generally thinking he might do that. This bloody Klingon Jem'Hadar Lurathok woman, if she yelled at me like that, I probably would laugh. And now, don't get me wrong, she would then snap my neck like a twig. I think I said this in the second video today. She would snap my neck like a twig, but I just don't think the woman can act, or definitely she can't do this. So I went from liking her because of the way she was introduced, having to go with the Klingon sort of thing, to almost immediately disliking her. The Sam character irritated me. I don't like people that are overly happy. It just annoys me. And she's not overly happy. And she's a race of holograms, right? So I'm immediately going to say that doesn't make any sense. And let's have a look. Sentai Radio, what's your new picture? I've just seen that. Oh, very cool. Yes, very nice profile picture. Big fan of the of that. So she's a new race of holograms. What is the point of a race of holograms? And they're sentient. Okay, but somebody's got to make them. I think I said in the video earlier as well, she doesn't know how to shake someone's hand. She's been programmed to be a 17-year-old, but she's 4 months old, and they can't do a handshake. I don't get that. She's supposed to be programmed to be 17. I just don't know. So yeah, that was immediately not very good. Dar Rainey, the bully that then becomes everyone's best friend, except he's obviously a jerk and the girls don't like him. I actually thought I might like him for a minute because I just thought he was going to be a dick, and then he helps the guy make his bed at the end, which I just thought was awful. Genesis Life, the pretty girl that everyone likes. She's very pretty, big mouth, but very pretty. So let's go with I like her. I obviously like the Doctor, so that's a character I can actually like. Jaden Krag, the Klingon who's not a Klingon, who seems to have some depression issues. Yeah. I don't know anything about him to like him or dislike him, to be honest, because we don't know his backstory yet. There's going to be a reason why he's so depressed. I've worked in mental health for years. I'm sort of like diagnosing him as the episode goes on. Yes, if you guys don't know Red Dwarf, you're right. It would have really been much, much better. Just go back to the race of holograms. As I say, someone's got to make them. Someone's got to put them and make them sentient. What's the point? What's the point? I don't get it. You know, it's just like, yeah, I don't understand. The Easter egg reference to Voyage Home with Caleb and the Beta girls said little girl whale in the aquarium is a little bit too much. Chloe, I know I said that in the video, but 100%, it was not the only one in this video that was bad. And thank you for being a member, by the way. There were several references in this that hark back to previous episodes of Star Trek, and I know why they're doing it. They're doing it because it's the 60th anniversary, so they've got to keep doing it. Here we go. What do you think of Letman's jackets and why were they wearing? Also, what do you think of Holly Hunter sat in the captain's chair like it was a lazy boy watching a Netflix episode? Now, I think Chloe has watched my video from earlier because that's exactly what I said. She was on one, just curled up reading the book on the captain's chair during a mission. Could you imagine Captain Kirk doing that? I'm going to do a video in a day or two. What the hell is Alex Kurtzman's problem with writing a captain? He doesn't seem to be able to do it, and it's moronic. All of his captains are like this. Hey, buddy, come here, man, let's have a hug. What is wrong with having a bit of authority? Stupid. And yeah, all the jackets were stupid as well. That's our first super chat of the day. Academy is worse than cancer and officially is a flop. Well, it's not officially a flop. Let's give it 24 hours before it's officially a flop. But it is not good. I believe currently the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is 33%. So, yeah, that's not good. The rating for the critics was 89%, apparently. So, I know, Millie, you've put that no, it is officially a flop. It isn't. You need to give it at least 24 hours. We don't know any of the numbers yet. Look at the YouTube numbers. Yeah, fine. Don't mean anything yet. So calm down. I know you want it to be a flop, but let's give it a second. Is it 87% now for the audience rating, Dactar, or is that for the critics? I've got it here. Let's have a quick look. Let's update that. 84-38 now for the fans. The fans are growing. The fans are loving it more. So yeah, who knows? Hunter, tell us why. What did you like about it? Because there are things about it I like, but they're just overwhelmed by the things I can't stand, and that's a big problem. Hey, that's not far from me, sir. And thank you very much. New member. Very good. Peter Luna, sir. That looks like a puppet. We don't like puppets on this channel because Star Trek likes it. We don't like them. Apparently the 5th episode is going to be good. I've been told several times that it's supposed to be good. So I've got to watch. I'll tell you what, the biggest mark, and I know I said this several times in the videos, the biggest marker for me to say that this is not a good show is that halfway through both episodes, I paused it to see how long was left. Right. That just says, for me, that says all of it, that it's not a good show. If you're hoping it's going to end, that's not a good show. You should be hoping it's going to be longer. You know what I mean? So sometimes you watch a film and go, oh my God, it's over already. That was amazing. I can't wait to watch the next episode. I watched that and was thinking, oh crap, I'm going to have to watch the next episode. I'm going live tonight. I've got no choice. I was supposed to go play snooker tonight. I always go snooker on a Thursday, and I haven't to do this with you lovely people. And I wish I'd gone to snooker. Let's have a look. What's people saying? Come on, Hunter, speak up. Please do, sir. Imagination, or did they mention tachyons? They did. I made a note. Right. At one point they said tachyons. There was some tachyon emissions just before they were attacked. I think it's because it was cloaked. And I wrote tachyons down, but then I forgot to do anything about it. I forgot to say it in the video. But let's go through my list here. Let's talk about the humor, shall we? It was moronic. Right, so you've got the nameless girl. I think that's going to be a running joke now, that one cadet, and they're not going to name her. And she also looks suicidal. There's a lot of depression going on. But, you know, it's teenagers. And I say they're teenagers. All of these guys are in their 20s, but they keep calling them children. I find that really irritating. But the nameless girl that ate her comms badge is clearly going to, I think that's going to be a running joke in this. The eating of the comm badge was stupid. Then the Jem'Hadar lady is saved by the Klingon, and she punches the Klingon in sort of like celebration. The Klingon's flying across the room. He goes, "I'm okay." Straight out of Marvel and, you know, Thor and the Hulk twatting Thor. But to be honest, that was only one moment of lots of very silly moments in this entire episode, both episodes, that you just think, I know they're trying to be funny, all right? And Star Trek has moments of humor in them, but generally they don't work. I mean, you've got Data going, yes, in Generations, or Riker swearing for the first time in, was that, it was the third one, the rubbish one, wasn't it? Insurrection. They swear a lot in this as well, which I don't think is needed. I just don't think it was needed. Yeah, her blood was white, which means I think the Jem'Hadar blood is white, isn't it? But she's half Klingon, and Klingon blood's green, neon green. So yeah. Thank you for your sacrifice. And you may call me Jay, call me whatever you like, to be honest. There were a couple of bad minutes scattered throughout. The com badge thing was, yeah, but it didn't ruin the episode. It wasn't enough to ruin the episode. For me, one moment wasn't enough. It's pink, isn't it? It's the Klingon blood's pink. You're right. I'm just imagining the blood floating around in the undiscovered country. It's Vulcan blue screen. Right, so what was I saying? That's distracting, and I've got to stop reading the comments so much. The one or two silly moments didn't ruin it for me. It was the lots of little moments that ruined it for me. So, yeah, the humor, a couple of the bits in there were funny. They worked. The Doctor is always great, but there were probably too many of them, so they lost a bit of meaning. The background voice over, because it's supposed to sound like a school, isn't it? And the one is, don't forget to go to the cafeteria because hangry is your worst enemy. And I'm sorry, that's a stupid line. I would actually be slightly embarrassed if I was the writer and that like got through. It's just a bad line. It shouldn't have been allowed in. There's lots of bad writing in this though, and it's quite jerky. It's quite clunky sometimes the way it's said. I remember at one point, the Caleb guy goes to the beta set girl and he sort of says, do you want to see something? And I'm just sort of like, that is, do you want to see a thing? And I'm just like, what are you talking about? If somebody had said that to me, do you want to see a thing? I'd have gone, your thing or my thing? I don't want to see anyone's thing. And it's just a weird, it was just, a lot of the time throughout this, it's just a weird thing to say. Now, Caleb Murr's acting, particularly in the first episode, was bloody awful. He seems to have calmed it down a bit in the second episode. It wasn't so bad. Takes his top off a lot. But, and I'm not happy about that, but I know younger girls will be, and you know, this is only aimed at younger girls. So, in the first episode, he did an awful lot with his eyebrows. There was an awful lot of stuff going on there, and he was really acting big, but he's not very good at it. Paul Giamatti comes in, Nosbraka, going way over the top as a villain, worked completely. It was absolutely stunning. Helen Hunter in this, Helen Hunter, whatever her name is, Captain Ake. She's a hippie, but she's a captain. So, no, they should have just made her not a captain of the Athena, and that maybe would have made her, she should be the headmistress, sort of thing, and then have somebody else as the captain of the Athena, maybe, because I don't see how that's going to work, and she clearly doesn't respect authority. You've got just weird characters throughout, if I'm honest. I don't think there's too many characters. I actually thought there was going to be, it was a fear for me that Holly Hunter, thank you. I thought it was going to be, for me, there is something I forgot to say about Baraka that I thought was absolutely stupid. I forgot to mention it in the videos earlier. He's got tic-tac-toe shaved into the side of his head. What the smegging hell is that about? I mean, seriously, what the hell? Who came up with that creative design? You know what we should do? I think we should shave a children's game inside of his head. It's just moronic. And again, that's a creative. How many creative decisions is Alex Kurtzman going to make that you have to just sit here and go, why did you do that? And there are parts of this. There's another bit I meant to mention in the video earlier, actually. The tractor beam bin. So he gets that horrible fruit that he doesn't like. He lobs it, and then the bin goes, catches it and drops it down. Why? Why would that technology exist? And this is what they should always think about when they do anything like that in Star Trek, is why would that technology exist? And you have to say immediately, because it wouldn't. Nobody would do that. Just because it's technically possible doesn't mean you do it. And then you have to question the creative decision that led them to put it in. They had to create CGI for that and everything. Remind me to talk about the robots. It's just a moronic thing to do, but it's a poor creative decision, which is more my problem with it. You know, you could, you know, they put solar panels on the bridge in one of the movies. Okay, that's stupid, but they thought it would please hippies or something. But a tractor beam bin, no, it's just idiotic. So yeah, the children. Let's talk about that for a bit. Particularly in the second episode, they decide to do all of their negotiations with the Betazoids in front of all of the cadets, which is a strange thing to do immediately. So it's a teaching moment. No, it isn't. That conversation could have gone really, well, it did go really, really badly. Those negotiations went badly. You've also then got a bunch of the students from the angry Federation side, all in black. Yeah, because, you know, soldiers dressed in black, that never goes badly wrong. No, he doesn't, Chloe. He's not going to be directing all the episodes. He's directing a couple, though. He's directing quite a few. We've got that, and then we've got all the young people from Betazoid. Why are they actually doing the direct negotiations in front of everybody like that, knowing that these negotiations are going to be difficult and that they were really, really important? Yeah, that's just that. It's such, again, it's a creative decision that they've gone with, but it's moronic because you would never ever do that ever. And you have to, when you're writing something like this, go, is this remotely what would happen? And say, well, we'll pretend it's a learning exercise. And I'm no. Why is it happening on the Athena as well, the negotiations? Isn't there like somewhere like a proper building for that to happen? So again, it was just stupid. But then every time they called them children, I was just sort of like, oh, for the love of God. They were all in their 20s. It's like, how old was the kid? You reckon? This bloody, what's his name? Caleb. He's 5 or 6 years old, isn't he, in the far start of the episode, which went on for ages. The start of the episode, and then he jumps through a window and escapes. It's fine, but that's 15 years later, so he's at least 20, 21. Okay, let's say he's 4. There's no chance. I think he's in his early 20s, and to be honest, all of them are. So, yeah, keep calling them children. It's just moronic. Right, fallout from the burn. Let's talk about that for a second. The whole point of this is the Federation rebuilding after the burn. Okay, fine. What I'm going to say, though, is the burn is one of the most hated things that's ever happened in Star Trek. All right, so you're going to have this entire season or series of Star Trek that you're basing on or following on from a series that was horribly divisive, an event in Star Trek that was widely hated. So again, it's a creative decision that I just have to put my hands on my head and go, why would you do that? Why? It doesn't make any sense for a series to be built on two of the most disliked things in Star Trek. It seems like swallow those com badges. The com badges are horrendous, by the way, because it's an outline of the Athena with a small Star Trek logo. And I'm going to have a drinking game. Hey, JDA, how you doing? I heard you had a lovely evening watching Star Trek. Best Star Trek ever, right? Yep. I'm sure that's what he said. So the com badges, she would die if she saw that com badge. I'm going to create a drinking game then. I dare you to grab a shot of something nice, and every time you see the insignia, the Star Trek insignia, you know, the famous chevron sort of thing, you've got to take a shot. You'll be hammered in about 5 minutes because the damn thing's everywhere, including a massive thing on top of the saucer section of the Athena, which I've never seen before, and looked stupid. But yeah, so you're building something, a show off this most hated event in Star Trek, something that sucked all the joy out of Star Trek because it sucked the actual exploration out of Star Trek and ruined something that Star Trek fans love because it's, you know, Star Trek. That's kind of what Star Trek is. Let's talk about the Athena before we talk about Captain AK or Ake, however you say it. I hate the design so much. I hate it. And the problem is, are there any starships under Kurtzman we like? That's a general question. Get in there. Tell me. Are any of the starships under Kurtzman, the hero ships, any good? Let's go through them in a second, but we'll talk about the Athena first. Okay, so it's the spaceship and it's the class. I'm going to immediately question why you would design that. It's unnecessary. You build a building on the ground that is your school, and you then build a starship, or you just use a starship occasionally. A starship will come in, go, right, okay, you're taking a group of this many cadets out. Okay, great. You do it that way. You don't build a starship that's also the school. That's incredibly overcomplicated thing to do and kind of moronic. Why would you create one thing that has to be two such various things? Again, a creative decision that they've thought, ooh, that'll be fun. But you, with even just 2 seconds of logical thinking, you would go, you'd never do that ever. It's got the ugliest pigging wing things on it, whether the engines and stuff, which it leaves in space when it comes down. So, that's stupid. As a Starship designer, I can categorically say that I despise every ship design from the Kurtzman era. Good. Sci-fi shipyard, that's how you doing, sir. Just everything. I actually don't. Somebody said they're the California class. I don't like the California class particularly, but we'll go through them in a minute. So it's got this ugly wing thing. Kurtzman loves putting a massive pigging engines on starships. He just does. And the Discovery zoom back these bloody wings. It's a moronic design. It wouldn't happen that way, and it's taken down by scaly matter really, really quickly. So let's have a think about all the starships under Kurtzman. Has any of them been any good? Let's start at the beginning. Discovery. I know why they did it. Obviously, I know they were harping back to an older design that nearly became the Enterprise, designed by the guy that went on to design a lot of the Star Wars ships. He loved triangles. I forgot his name. It's going to annoy me. Somebody in the comments tell me. So they went back to that design. I think they thought fans would go crazy for that. Oh, the fans will love this because we're using that design because of this reason. I goes, does it matter that the ship's really ugly? No, it's really ugly. The California class, I'm not a big fan of. I'm sorry, but the things down to the engine part and the warp cells, they're just too long, and the ship looks weird. I think you've got it there, Chloe. The Protostar. That's actually quite a good-looking ship. I quite like that ship. It's a good-looking ship. So let's go with that. The California class isn't horrendous. It's just not great. But so the 2 times we've done a hero ship in animated, they've not been terrible. The Enterprise in Strange New Worlds doesn't look great. I don't love it. I have to admit, I know it's supposed to be something between the original series Enterprise and the beautiful refit that they did, but it didn't quite work. It just looks a bit weird. We have another super chat. Thank you very much. Gartancha. Wouldn't it be a shame if they were exploring somewhere and the ship was accidentally to suffer a warp core breach? I mean, I'd be gutted, personally. And it's a bunch of cadets, so we know what happened in the motion picture, and a bunch of cadets that will be burned to death. So, yeah. I tell you what, we should probably set that up. All you got to have is a coolant leak. Coolant leak, everybody! And then they'll all be dead. So it'll be great. Yeah, just a bad design, a bad concept. I don't know why they did it. It was, again, just a moronic decision. Captain Ake is going to be one of the most important characters in the series. All right, she just is. She's one of the biggest actresses that we know in the series. She's probably the most well-known actor, other than maybe Paul Giamatti. And she plays the character the way she wants to. The things, though, of her, as I mentioned in the video earlier, she's wearing a black dress, slinky little number, when she really should be bloody wearing uniform. What's Juliet saying? Are you going to have wrenches on your channel? Haven't you got wrenches? That's the wrench. That's what that S thing is. That's the wrench. They're different colour depending on how long you've been a member, Juliet, and you've been a member like pushing nearly a year. So you go, girl. One of my best supporters, Juliet. I absolutely adore you. So she wanders around barefoot. She picks somebody's drink up and starts drinking it off the side. Somebody that, half drank thing. And they do make a point of going, ugh. she's kooky. I'll put it that way. She's 400 and something years old. She's very kooky. She's the same species or half species as the engineer from Strange New World, who I'm not a fan of. She's not a captain. I kept telling us that I kept being told that Holly Hunter just isn't very good in this role. She's a great actress, but she just isn't very good in this role. And 100% accurate. She's got no gravitas, which is a great word for it. There's no authority in there. None of the captains under Kurtzman do. They just don't. But she takes it to an extreme because they've gone. She's a teacher. She's a headmistress. And she's very, she does her nice long speeches. And she says, we're going to go boldly where no one has gone before and all this sort of thing. And going, we're going to boldly go where no one's gone before. I know that line. But you wouldn't respect her as a captain. You might like her as a teacher, but you wouldn't respect her as a captain. So let's ask her the big question. Is this the end of Alex Kurtzman? Bum, bum, bum. I'm currently speaking to a couple of people, and you're about to get an exclusive. I did mention it on the Patreon video earlier, but this is a little bit of an exclusive. Are you ready? I get to speak to quite a lot of people that are in and around Paramount in particular. I've got one person that's kind of in and around Secret Hideout I get to speak to, but I've got a couple of people at CBS, but I've actually got a couple of people at Paramount that are sort of on more the business side of things, and they get to hear a lot of what's sort of going on. They told me a week before Alex Kurtzman confirmed it that there was going to be a meeting pretty much at the start of February. And that meeting was going to be all the big bosses being brought together. All right. So the idea was that was going to be when Kurtzman was going to find out his fate, basically. That's when he was going to find out. And they were going to have a proper conversation about what the future of Star Trek is. I've heard loads and loads of rumors that at very least he's not getting an extension to the deal. He may get some sort of exclusive deal. You guys know what I'm talking about. So what Kurtzman said was actually meeting is going to happen when filming of season 2 ends. And I can tell you that it looks like that's going to run over by about 2 weeks. So that would mean the meeting wouldn't happen until actually the middle of February. It was supposed to be done by Jan 31st. It's going to run over. So that will push that meeting back a couple of weeks from what I was originally told. I'm now being told that very high up executives have asked for a meeting in the coming week. Now, I don't know if Kurtzman's going to be dragged into that, but it'll be top people from Secret Hideout, and they want to see them within a week. Now, if this is true, and I've spoken to a couple of people now who claim it is, and claim that it was requested today, right? So that, for me, is probably not going to be based off what has happened today, right? So they didn't get up at 9 a.m. this morning just after it dropped and gone, oh, crap, it's not done very well, get him in here. I think this is based off what has happened over the last week. And to be honest, the last few months. One of the things that they will do when sort of putting all this information together is they look at the internet now. They use AI and they go look through all what people are thinking about a new show, particularly big shows like this, and they see what is the preconceptions, what are people thinking. And that's going to be negative. It's going to be largely negative. But now they know, though, it's going to be largely negative to us, and they know how this works, because people can't really be massively popular about something because we've not seen it yet. So it tends to be more the negativity comes out initially. I don't like this, I don't like that, blah, blah, blah. We've not seen it. We don't really know. But we were looking at clips and things and the negativity. Now, you get clips like I saw my com badge. And that's going to generate, like, they were hoping we would love that. They were hoping we would see that in the Doctor and go, oh my God, that's a funny moment. And oh, look at how cool the Doctor is. But actually, a lot of us went, how did she swallow a com badge? That's idiotic. So, that happened, and that generated quite a lot of negativity. They look at that. So they'll have that data. over the last few months. They're going to look at comments on my video, on JDA Talks videos, on just general comments on Facebook, comments on their, when they've stuff on YouTube comments. They look at all that and they build up algorithms and they can tell what the negativity is. I think that leads into why they put it on YouTube initially, the first 2 episodes, which is an unusual thing to do, even though they are trying to push that younger demographic, so that's why they did that. You wouldn't do it as a premiere, though. You do it 48 hours after. If that was me, I'm going to premiere on Paramount Plus, where you make money, and then 2 days later, I might go, let's see if the kids will watch it and put it on YouTube. That's what they did for Strange New Worlds, to be honest. When like Strange New Worlds Series 3 came out, they put Strange New Worlds Series 1 on YouTube to try and attract a bit more of an audience for a limited time sort of thing. So you don't do it for the premiere, is my point, because you're just taking viewers away from Paramount Plus. They also, though, have not seemed to be pushing it very hard on Paramount Plus, which is also a big concern. So it seems to me that they know it's not going to be well received. That's my opinion on that. I don't think they think it is. If the fact that they had a meeting arranged for in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and they are now being told to come in to see the headmaster, basically, that I think says quite a bit. I can't see any scenario where that's a good thing. It's not that this show has been so well received by the critics that we desperately want you to come in, and because we're going to sign you onto a new contract immediately. That's not going to be the case. It's going, I don't, if it was going well, they would wait until the planned meeting, and then they would do it then, sort of thing. They would say, look, this has actually gone really well. Fantastic sort of thing. Brilliant. I just like this comment here. Permission is wrong. Why could he not have it tied back? Yeah, I mean, they didn't cut the Klingons' hair, but that would be religious. They didn't do that. But also, they then gave him a vaccination without his permission. Did you notice that? There's a couple of little hints that actually anybody that's very sort of conservative in their politics, they will point at certain things in this. They just will. Alex Kurtzman is out, hopefully. Do you think Seth MacFarlane would still be interested? Any other names you might be interested in taking over from Star Trek? Ooh, good question. And thank you very much for the super chat. Seth MacFarlane wouldn't do it. He's too busy with his own stuff. He's got a big like comic book project he's got coming up, like a fantasy thing coming up. I think it's one of the reasons why we still don't have the Orville. And to be honest, we're getting to the point where we're never getting the Orville. So names I would be interested in. I would be looking at some of maybe the executive producers from the past. It's a shame Ronald D. Moore isn't available. If I had a magic wand and I could go with anybody, I'd probably go with Ronald D. Moore, if I'm honest. But obviously he's been taken over. He's doing God of War. I'd have to think about that. I'd want somebody that came up through the Star Trek ranks. Is it Brannon Braga? He's still relatively young, isn't he? So maybe him. Young creators at the moment, I'd have to think about that. Somebody that's done other TV shows or something that isn't doing anything at the moment. We keep talking about Hawk Host being Mark Fergus on this channel. I think they did a great job with The Expanse. Maybe they could do it. It looks like they're circling around doing the Babylon 5 remake, though. So again, we might have to rush into that. And obviously, if you could pull him from Disney, Tate Matalas. He's capable of doing it. We just need somebody to rein him in a little bit, I think. But he loves Star Trek. There'll be a couple of other people, to be honest, I'm not thinking about, that came up through the Star Trek ranks as young writers, because Star Trek under TNG did that a lot. So, they brought in a lot of young talent and nurtured them, sort of thing. So, yeah, there's a few names. There's a few people that could do that. So we'll have to see, really. Let's have a look at a few more comments while we're thinking about Terra Metalis. It amazes me of multiple movies and shows to draw what Star Trek really is, and most of all this new stuff, they just seem to be stumbling around in the dark. Very much so. I'm not one of these people that say everything Kurtzman is terrible. It's because it's not. I like certain episodes. I loved the Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks crossover. I love that episode. It's not really Star Trek. It's one of those quirky Star Trek episodes that occasionally we adore. I love the episode. I'm struggling to think of anything that I would consider to be Star Trek that I've actually liked under Kurtzman. Have there been any sort of genuine sci-fi storylines that were serious, that were done properly, sort of thing? I think, Peter, I think you've got a very good, I think that's a good name. I think, yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. I can't think of any. There must be. Let's have a think about this for a second. Strange New Worlds keep doing the Gorn episodes, which aren't, they're horrors. Discovery, did they? I don't think they ever really did. I don't think they ever did anything that I would actually consider to be a traditional classic Star Trek episode. I'm thinking like something like, they've done episodes that maybe you could touch on, say, Best of Both Worlds E, not as good, remotely not as good, but you know, like that invasion attack action episodes. I'm thinking like the Dyson Sphere episode or something like that, what I would consider to be like really good Star Trek, as they investigated something new and, you know, that was really good sci-fi, and then they, you know, brought in Montgomery Scott. There was moments in that were humorous, but then as well, it was exploring. It was, you know, a good bit of character development, things beautifully written. I don't think we've had a single episode that I would put, definitely not to that quality, but not to even in that fulfills the role of what Star Trek is for me. Because Star Trek is about exploration. I can't think of a lot of that. You could argue Discovery, I suppose. They never really went anywhere. Something that really develops the characters. You've had that a bit in Strange New Worlds, but not well. Something that was actually like exploring or pushing out a scientific boundary, and they got most of the science wrong under Kurtzman, and then they tried to fix it later, but generally they get it quite horribly wrong. Is there anything that is particularly well explored social commentary or anything like this, which Star Trek traditionally always did very well? Sci-fi should have layers to it. It should have things that go, oh, that's a brilliant episode, but, you know, the Sharon episode's not subtle. It's about racism. You know, it should have layers to it, but they don't do it well. They do genre episodes, and then for me, they try and slap little social commentary things on top, like they try to slap science fiction on top of it as well, to be honest. So I don't think they do that. I think they come up with a concept that is either genre driven or actually remaking an old episode, which they do quite a lot, particularly with Strange New Worlds. Let's reimagine a classic Star Trek episode. They do that a lot. Then they go, oh, we do need something sciencey to explain that. Oh, that'll do. And then, oh, you know, guys, we've got to forget with Star Trek we're liberal, so let's stick on something. Oh, let's have a transgender character. That'll do. And they just lob it on. That's not exploring social challenges or, you know, like commenting on things that's wrong in our society. We should be in sci-fi, I think, commenting on sort of like the transgender explosion that we've seen in the last few years, division in politics, you know, the rise of hate in the world, apparently, well, clearly, but that should be core to the story, and Star Trek doesn't do that. It used to do stories inspired by something they wanted to say. Now they seem to say something and then think, oh, we should probably actually, you know, like add some morals onto that quickly. Because they're not really saying anything with a lot of their episodes, if I'm really honest. They're popcorn. They're mostly air. There's nothing to them. And that's just a massive shame, because creators are capable of doing this. And if you think you're only doing 10 episodes every bloody 18 months or 2 years sometimes, you can spend time to actually write a pig in 60-minute episode that's good, and they just don't bother. And that is frustrating as hell. I'm not one of these people that point at everything and go, that's woke, this is woke, that's a load of rubbish, blah, 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 blah. I don't, you know, guys, you know me, I don't do that. I'm actually politically quite liberal myself. But even I see things like in the first episode where the core story is about a young boy torn from his family by a quite, you know, tyrannical government at the time because everything's hard, so we have to be a lot forcing with zero tolerance, is a bit closer to the bit close to the gnome in my garden, a bit close to the nose of politics of what was going on at the time, particularly when this episode was written. There was other stuff in there as well. I don't think it was there was an awful lot in there to sort of shout woke out, if I'm honest, yet. But we haven't found out about a lot of the sexuality of these characters yet. But the worst sin, and I think this is going to be, get your final comments in, guys, and we'll start wrapping up now. The biggest sin of these 2 episodes is that they're boring, and that's the biggest sin for Discovery. A lot of the time, it's the biggest sin for a lot of Strange New Worlds episodes. You can get angry about the politics, you can get angry about everything else. I get angry when they don't make sense, which is very annoying. When you just see the Enterprise spinning around again for no good reason. But most importantly, when I finish an episode and I think that's 60 minutes of my life wasted. And unfortunately, under Kurtzman, we get that a lot. That's probably not a bad shout. Let's see. Somebody's going to be. I'm starting to get irritated by Holly's character blackmailing Caleb. Oh, yeah. That was 100% emotional blackmail. 100% emotional blackmail. I've got a mom. I know what emotional blackmail looks like. She basically, join the academy. No, I'll find your mom. Oh, okay. It's like, and then when he wants to leave later, she reminds him, oh, no, go if you want, but you'll never find your mommy. Like, oh, for God's sake. It's just harsh. It's like, yeah. Peter Luna makes the point there, they don't understand Star Trek. And I think that's the biggest point that I've got, is that they don't seem to do any of the things that I consider to be Star Trek. They're trying to entertain a younger audience. They don't care about us Trekkies. They don't. 100% they don't. And they've told us as much. Then you have Strange New Worlds that never goes to any Strange New Worlds. It's as simple as that. They don't do it. So how on earth can you sit here and say it's Star Trek? It's because it's not. They don't go anywhere. First episodes of Strange New Worlds, and went with the understand that impact of episodes are the best. Yeah. I just don't think they do it though. I think they thought that they had. Do you remember when Marvel did Ragnarok, and they did the funny and the silly bits, and it was massively popular. So they thought, well, it's the funny bits, it's the quips. And they've always had quips in the Marvel episodes. You know, in the first Iron Man, they had little moments, but they never went there. But Ragnarok, they sort of made the character a little bit more silly. They had a little bit more humor in it. And they thought, oh, well, that's the way to go. So the next 6 or 7 movies were constant. All it was like, quip. And then you had Love and Thunder, where they went too far and everybody turned off. I think Star Trek did that a little while ago. I think they started thinking, oh, they did 1 or 2 episodes that were sort of like genre-bending episodes, and thought, oh, they did quite well. Let's do that. And then they went, oh, there's a few little humorous moments. And don't get me wrong, Alex Kurtzman's supporting Tony Newsom to write that work-based comedy thing. He thinks he's hilarious, clearly. So, and he, did a lot of the writing for this academy. Yeah. Sorry, that's a very good point. Booyah. He has done. He has called it a platform more than once. And Akiva Goldsman talks about it as a way to tell other stories and to twist other genres. And that's not, I don't think that's what we want from Star Trek, personally. I want Star Trek. It should be sci-fi. And him and bloody Anson Mount saying that it is a genre on its own. Not the way you're doing it, mate. Sorry, but they're just not. I'm just really disappointed by the whole thing with this. You guys know, and I'll say this a million times, I don't care who does Star Trek if I like it. I genuinely thought a couple of years ago that Star Trek had turned a corner. I genuinely did. I didn't hate the 4th season of Discovery. I thought it was not great, but it was going in the right direction. I thought Strange New Worlds season 2 was better than season 1, so I thought brilliant, it's going in the right direction. We were starting to see some good episodes. Don't get me wrong, and then hit me with a musical, and I was like, oh, Christ. But then they seemed to just, I don't think it got good, but it felt like they were going the right way. Does that make sense? So they never quite made it, but I felt like they were listening to fans and they were starting to make some changes to try and push Star Trek in the right way. And that's where I was mistaken, because I thought they're listening to fans. And we now know Kurtzman doesn't do that. So we're listening to fans, we're going to make Strange New Worlds. No, you're not. You're a picking liar. You were always going to make Strange New Worlds. That's why people are surprised when they say that they don't think they were going to do Legacy, when I've said it was definitely going to happen. Engage your brain for a second. Do you really think they'd have let Terry Metalis do that if they weren't planning to do Legacy? You know, just think. Talking about Star Trek ships as well, they did the Enterprise G. The biggest mistake. Stupid. We all think hail Terry Metalis, but he made that decision. The creative decision to even take the Titan and make it into a completely different ship is moronic, but they do it anyway. So yeah, I don't care who makes Star Trek if it's good. The problem is, even though some of this Star Trek under Kurtzman has been good, nothing like to the degree we need. It's been so horribly inconsistent. And all I can hope and pray to the Star Trek gods is that Paramount are looking, even if they're not looking at the creative decisions, they're looking at the business decisions that Alex Kurtzman has made over the last 10 years nearly. And they're going to go, that's not good enough. We can do much, much better. Ideology, I disagree with you, Maccabee, a bit. I do think there is an ideology that Kurtzman brings to it, but I think the ideology is we have to appeal to a young audience. So what he's doing is trying to aim things that appeal to what he thinks is their ideology. I don't think it's his. I don't think it's Paramount's. I think they are trying to attract this audience that they think, right, environmentalists, more liberal, you know, all the transgender stuff, all this blah, 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 blah. That's what young people are interested in, so we'll do that. And to be honest, it's not about their ideology at Paramount or blah, blah, blah. It's about an ideology they think they need to take on to attract that younger audience. And I think that's one of the reasons why it doesn't work, because they're trying to mirror something, you know? They're trying to fake it to get that audience. And that's why they're so bad at it, because they don't really mean it. They care about younger audience, more money. That's what they care about. And actually, I hear stories about, I hear people say that studios like Disney and stuff like this, oh, it's their ideology. Their ideology is money. It's nothing else. They don't care about politics when you get up to the top end of these things. They care about money. And a lot of the times Disney and stuff, they do these things and we shout woke at it. And it's because they've done it because either a writer or a creator has thought it was a good idea, or more importantly, they think they're trying to fake it to appeal to this audience that they don't understand. The frustrating thing is, with Star Trek, they've got an audience that we want. It's ready-made. We're here. We're waiting. And they just can't figure it out. They just can't do basic Star Trek. They can't do a show that appeals to its Star Trek fan base and then will attract an older audience. Look, at the end of the day, TNG came around because my dad said to me, oh, Star Trek's on, do you want to watch it? And I sat and watched it with my dad. Then a few years later, TNG was announced, and I watched it, and I became a Star Trek fan. That's it. We're watching the shows, they're making us fans. So joke's on you. Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan, unfortunately. They're killing my love for Star Trek. So I think the joke's going to be on Kurtzman. I have to watch it because of this channel and because I love Star Trek, and I'm just always desperately hoping it's going to be good, and I keep getting disappointed. And at some point, I'm going to give up. But let's see what the ratings say. Let's see what the numbers say, because I genuinely think this show is not going to do very well. It's not based on... None of us asked for it. In fact, we all said, don't do that. So it's literally the exact opposite. Please, God, don't. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a day now. I think that's a good chat. I think I've been on YouTube enough today, to be honest. We've got over 110 people. We've had 120 people watching at some point. I really, really thank you guys for doing that. It's been a big day for Star Trek. I think it's one of the last days we're going to have to put up with this. Okay, we've got season 2 of Academy and 2 more seasons of Strange New Worlds, but after that, we won't have to put up with a lot of this. Guys, thank you so, so much, and I will see you at the weekend. I think we're going to be getting a fella off CBR who's a big Star Trek fan to come over and have a chat with us. So hopefully we'll be doing that, and I'll probably be on Scitrek on Sunday. So yeah, thanks, guys. I will see you soon. Dark Mind, they won't take a tax write-off of season 2. I'm sorry. Bye, guys.